Well, good morning, everybody. I'm here in Omaha this morning, and I just set up my camera while I was preparing the morning briefing here after sunrise, just to kind of see the cloud cover running over the top of us. This is going to be a place that's going to see a lot of change over the next 10 plus days in terms of having a lot of heat return to this area. I'll talk more about that in just a few seconds. But first, I got to show you just some stuff on Twitter last night. Brandon Clement brought this incredible video here shot with his drone of just some of the horrific flooding we saw in parts of eastern Kentucky, where some places saw over 6 to 7 inches of rainfall just in the last 24 hours. So we stitch all that together and we now have this map. So just here through early this morning, this is what the last 7 days of total accumulated rainfall has looked like. And so much of the heaviest rain here has been on this stalled out frontal boundary that's connecting up with the southwest monsoon. It's delivered a lot of very heavy rainfall to the Four Corners states, especially through Colorado, some just absolutely stunning thunderstorms into that area. But as we look at this map, we have to just also kind of assess who has missed this precipitation and what might that mean as we go into this kind of new pattern as things start to break down across parts of the Gulf of Alaska. So let's go take a look at that. Over the next 7 days, most of this rainfall that you see here is coming in the near term. So that's where that stalled out frontal boundary is. But you notice on either side of it, of course down here in Texas and then getting up into the western Corn Belt, northern plains, we're not expecting much in the way of precipitation at all. Outside of some isolated convective events, just those pop-up storms, that's what we're watching. We will be developing a pretty active Canadian storm track with this new pattern. And what we need to assess here is kind of how this is going to play out over the next 15 days. So let's just get a quick glimpse at this. Over here on the left, I have the 15-day rainfall anomaly forecast from this morning's ECMWF run. And I kind of highlighted a couple of regions here so we can compare them to those same regions over the last couple of weeks. So you do know that throughout parts of the central and western Corn Belt, there have been places that have missed some of these heavy rains. And same thing down here in parts of Texas. Now, as we can see, we are expecting more rain into this area that will really help to kind of push back against the just tremendous amount of drought that's developed in this area. And while the forecast remains drier for the Pacific Northwest, we do need to be on the lookout for these southwest monsoonal storms to kind of start to advance farther to the north. So even though it's been dry there, which is expected this time of year, we could be seeing more of that northward advancement of the southwest monsoon, just thinking about what's going on here. Now, the big change is going to take all that heat out of the northwest that's part of this large ridge and start to move it back into the midsection of the country. So this is what it looks like for us to kind of forecast the 500 millibar height pattern. We're looking for troughs and ridges here. And as we get through this weekend, notice we've already begun to flatten out the ridge that was over the Pacific Northwest by Sunday. And take a look at the ridge that's now sitting over Nevada and where it goes Sunday into Monday and Tuesday. You see, during that time period, we've now replaced the troughs that have been centered in the midwestern part of the United States to the Great Lakes and the Hudson Bay, now with a broader ridge that's opening up here. And just as we've been discussing, this just really takes us back into a pattern we've seen for several weeks this spring and summer. And that is the redevelopment of a larger ridge sitting right in through this part of the central United States. So here we are again, back to talking about that La Nina-like pattern featuring troughs of low pressure off the west coast. So if we think about the impact this is going to have on temperature first, it's going to start to remove by late this weekend the excessive heat that we've seen throughout California, into the Great Basin area, and then into the Pacific Northwest. And we're going to replace all of the cooler weather we've had here in the Midwest with much warmer conditions. So here's today's highs going into Friday, into Saturday. Now watch the transition happening here in the Northwest. This is Sunday's highs, getting into Monday and Tuesday of next week. And by next Tuesday, we're going to take the temperatures that are today in the 80s in the midsection of the country back up to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And it seems that it's going to have some staying power to it, maybe sticking around here through much of next week, which of course will be the beginning of August. Just watching that 5-day sliding window of temperatures, you can see the heat moving out of the northwest, gaining a foothold in the midsection of the country through the first week of August. And then the models just leave that pattern in place. They tend to kind of get stuck as we go into week 2, not really picking up on any sort of a pattern shift. But given ocean temperatures, La Nina, and where the pattern has been all summer, I expect this to validate given the updated forecast information we've seen. Now this gives us risk in 2 areas, and I put this map in the report if you want to have a closer look. We start to really increase our chances of excessive heat here in the first week of August, And I'm very concerned, as we talked about at the beginning, about the potential for some flash drought development across some areas that looked fantastic. Yesterday I drove from Champaign to the Quad Cities and over toward Omaha, and the crop throughout this drive looked good from the highway. It's just a windshield, crop tour here. So I worry that we could be in the month of August increasing those overnight low temperatures, and also with a lack of strong confidence and above normal rainfall, we just could be looking at some flash drought situations setting up here. I just want to keep a close eye on that. Back to the precipitation discussion. So our frontal boundary remains through the weekend, and that's where the heaviest rains are going to be. There could be some isolated storms on a weak front to the north of this. We saw that yesterday. But as we play this on forward, what you end up getting is the pattern shifts. Just watch this. I'll take you out 1 week from now, and as I kind of rock back and forth over midweek next week, do you see how the precipitation pattern is doing this? That's that ring of fire setup that we can often get when the ridge rebuilds in the midsection of the country. So this just tells us that there's going to be a lot of places in through here that are going to miss out on this precipitation as we work our way into the first week of August. Now from there, I just want to point out soil moisture values at this point down to 16 inches just continue to show pockets of drought. We expect better mapping of this soon in this area with the rains that are coming, but it's that western and northern Corn Belt I'm concerned about. Lastly, just to take a quick look at some stuff in the report, I did include the month-to-date statistics on precipitation and also on temperature. They'll be good for you just to have a close look at. And finally, we do an international update in this one, including some new satellite data. I have a quick discussion here also about the drought we've seen develop in parts of Argentina. Could be very important come later this year as the next growing season really gets going here in South America. So we'll keep you up to date. I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. Thanks.